This is the story of a guy that stole $3.3 billion in Bitcoin and hid it in a Cheetos popcorn tin. Meet Jimmy Zong, the guy in the center there, obviously. In 2012, he found a loophole in the Silk Road website that allowed him to basically double click over and over again and withdraw more than he had deposited, and eventually ended up with over 51,000 Bitcoin. For 9 years, he evaded authorities and until he made one tiny mistake. Back in 2012, he discovered a loophole on the Silk Road website where he could take out more than he had deposited, as I said. All he had to do was click the withdraw button multiple times in succession, and it being a illicit website, they probably didn't have the best IT. So he was able to get away with a lot of Bitcoin that wasn't his. He exploited the loophole repeatedly until he was able to drain about 51,860 Bitcoin worth $700,000 at the time. This is the popcorn tin where he hid his Bitcoin on a small computer. He was able to go on fancy hotels and high-end stores like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. He also bought a lake house with boats and jet skis. Probably the first image that you saw there was him on one of his boats. He flew his friends out on private jets and went to football games and gave them $10,000 each to go shopping in luxury stores like in Beverly Hills. He kept his lavish lifestyle up for years until he got caught one day on March 13th, 2019. He was robbed. Someone broke into his house and stole $400,000 in cash and 150 Bitcoin. I would have stopped and not reported that to any of the authorities in order to keep this going, but he thought that he was, an innocent person and decided that he needed to call 911 to report the theft. Although the police wondered why he had that much money lying around in his home, they proceeded with the investigation. What happened would be the biggest mistake was just him calling 911 to begin with. Like, you have billions of dollars and yet you're calling the police over, a fraction of that being stolen from you when you in turn stole from somebody else. It's just, I would have just taken the L and, kept my winnings and just moved on with my life and continued to do what he had done. But I'm not a criminal, so criminals think in different ways. He mistakenly combined $800 from the stolen Bitcoin and mixed it with an on KYC exchange where they have the know your customer rules. And by doing that, that exposed his identity, linking him to the crime. In November 2021, authorities raided his home and they found 50,676 Bitcoin stored in a tiny computer inside that popcorn tin. They also found $660,000 in cash and silver and gold bars, which I believe, yes, I've got that right there. He was arrested and sentenced to 1 year in prison. He also had to forfeit all of his Bitcoin and probably all of his money as well. I highly doubt, I don't know where he is today, but I highly doubt that he was able to recoup all of his losses from then. He's certainly not living a billionaire lifestyle anymore. So that just sort of tells you about what centralized exchanges that have KYC, what they can do to you is, number one, Coinbase is notorious for just going down, especially in periods of high volatility where the price swings up or swings down a whole lot and the website shuts down. So people are unable to buy and sell. It's like they do this on purpose. If you've been around the cryptocurrency space for any amount of time, you've noticed that Coinbase has gone down. So that happened to me. I was just trying to buy some Bitcoin, and the website went down. So I stopped using Coinbase a long time ago just because I'm really mainly just Bitcoin only. That's, how I've made my money and how I continue to make my money. But for those of you that still use centralized exchanges, that's a risk that you need to just figure out, because it's not something that you need to deal with on a daily basis. You need to use Coinbase as a place to purchase your Bitcoin and then transfer it to a hardware wallet or someplace more secure. There are other ways for you to make money and keep it and store it safely than using a centralized exchange. There are a number of ways. KYC free Bitcoin through Bitcoin mining is the best way to get Bitcoin without KYC. There, because you mine it, you receive a block reward and it's yours. And there's no, information that you had to give out to anybody to receive that Bitcoin. So you should keep that separate from your KYC Bitcoin that exchanges know who it belongs to. In my opinion, all of my Bitcoin is KYC Bitcoin. So I'm not trying to do anything illicit. I'm not evading taxes. I've never sold any Bitcoin. So when the time comes to finally sell some, I'll pay my taxes and I'll do the right thing. But for those of you that have a need to have KYC free Bitcoin, you need to make sure that you know where it is in the right place. You need to take self-custody, get it off of the exchange, get yourself a hardware wallet I don't like Ledger, I don't like Trezor, because both of those are closed source. They don't give you all of I'm not a programmer, I'm not a coder, I don't know how to read all that stuff or how to write it, but for those of you that do know and that have gone through the due diligence of reviewing their code, it's not always, peaches and cream, because Ledger has a backdoor to, if the authorities were to ask Ledger to give information about your hardware wallet, they would be able to do that. And they may even have the ability to stop you from withdrawing or using that Bitcoin in the hardware wallet. So my go-to is Seed Signer. I should have pulled up the website, but it is a self-built hardware wallet that you can buy it online, fully built, or you can buy all the parts individually, which is what I did, and I built it myself. And then you can download the software, and it's completely open source. It's built by one guy. He's a major avid Bitcoiner, and it's air gapped so that you don't have to connect it. It can't connect to the internet. It's just not possible. It uses a small Raspberry Pi. It's a Raspberry Pi Zero W or something like that. I think the W is for wireless, which it doesn't actually use, and I don't think it's even capable of connecting to the internet when you download the software and install it. But it's the method of choice for myself to keep my funds safe, because I don't want just the instance or to even have the headache of somebody trying to take something from me that doesn't belong to them. And I like to keep it in self-custody. That's how I've set up everyone that I know that have bought a substantial amount of Bitcoin. That's what I've set them up with. They don't know as much about Bitcoin as I do, so they're basically unable to spend it. And if they needed to, they could figure it out. They have all the tools and resources at their fingertips to spend their Bitcoin if they wanted to, but they would have to do a lot of research to figure it out. Or they could just ask me directly. I'm not trying to keep them from spending their money if they didn't want it. But this is just an example of, one, don't be a criminal. Don't steal from people. Just do the right thing. Yeah, there are people out there that will steal and take things from others. And, like Bernie Madoff, they'll make billions of dollars, but then, they'll end up in prison. Like this Jimmy Zong guy he had to spend 1 year in prison. I think they got him on tax fraud. He was also arrested in 2016 for possession of cocaine. But in the long run, the authorities will catch up to you. And it's just better not to play that game. Just do the right thing. Take self-custody of your crypto, your Bitcoin, whatever it is. Your cash is not even safe in a bank. The bank can cut off your funds at any time. Even if you have a safe deposit box, they can still prevent you from going inside there, or they can have you arrested the second that you go inside a bank if you're trying to withdraw from that box. There's nothing on the face of the planet that can't be stolen from you except Bitcoin. If you were to memorize your seed phrase and then destroy whatever copy of your seed phrase that you had, don't keep it on a computer, especially one that connects to the internet. Just write it down, put it on, or stamp it into a cold card, which I have an Amazon store. You can buy a stainless steel card where you can stamp in your own Bitcoin seed phrase. And that's what I've done. I've also memorized it so that I could potentially just destroy that stainless steel card one day. And then I become my Bitcoin because I have memorized the seed phrase. So no one can take it from me. Only I know the password. So just an example for y'all, don't do anything bad. Don't do anything wrong. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin and live a better life. Thank you.